Master the inner conversation is one of the most profound yet overlooked practices on the journey toward cultivating an unbreakable positive mental attitude. It is not about being blindly optimistic or trying to force yourself to feel good when life gets tough. Rather, it is about becoming fully conscious of the dialogue happening within your own mind, because this dialogue shapes your reality more than anything else. Each day, from the moment you wake up until the moment you sleep, there's a voice in your head narrating your experience. It comments on what you're doing, it makes judgments about yourself and others, it labels events as good or bad, success or failure. Often, this voice is not kind, it doubts, it fears, it overthinks. And worst of all, we tend to believe it without question. Mastering the inner conversation means learning to separate yourself from this voice, to recognize that you are not your thoughts you are the observer of those thoughts. This realization is the first key to power, because once you understand that your thoughts are just mental events, passing clouds rather than permanent truths, you can begin to choose which ones you give energy to. That is where freedom begins. Your inner conversation becomes your most loyal ally or your most dangerous enemy. It either uplifts or diminishes you. If you say to yourself, "I'll never succeed," your body reacts. You slump, you hesitate, you avoid. But if you say instead, "I have not yet succeeded, but I'm learning," something shifts. You stand taller, you breathe deeper, you engage. The words you repeat to yourself, even silently, are not just thoughts. They are instructions to your nervous system. Your brain listens, your emotions obey, your actions follow. That is why mastering this inner voice is so critical, not in moments of ease, but in moments of adversity. When life knocks you down, the inner voice speaks loudest. You're not good enough. You failed again. Why even try? If you don't know how to step back and watch this voice with awareness, you will believe it, and believing it is what makes it true. But the truth is, you are not your failures, your doubts, your fears, or even your past. You are the awareness that can witness all of these things without judgment. That is the real you, the quiet stillness behind the noise. To master your inner conversation means to become rooted in that awareness. It means becoming skillful at interrupting unhelpful thoughts and replacing them with thoughts that support growth, resilience, and strength. This doesn't mean denying reality. If you failed a test, lost a job, or disappointed someone, acknowledge it. But you must learn to speak to yourself like someone you are responsible for. Don't say, "I'm stupid." Say, "This didn't go how I wanted. What can I learn from it?" Speak to yourself as a guide, not as a critic, because no one wins a war by demoralizing their own soldiers, and you are both the commander and the fighter in your own life. To illustrate this, imagine a young woman training for a marathon. She has never run more than 5 kilometers in her life, but something inside her wants to grow. So she sets a goal. On her first day, she runs 2 kilometers and has to stop, gasping for air. Her legs ache. Her heart pounds, and as she walks home, the voice in her head begins, "You're not built for this. You'll never make it to 42 kilometers. Who were you kidding?" She listens, and for a moment she believes it. She doubts herself, but then she stops and becomes aware. She notices that these are just thoughts. Old patterns from her past, not truths, not facts, so she answers back, "I ran 2 kilometers today. That's 2 more than yesterday. I'm not supposed to be perfect. I'm supposed to improve." She keeps going, day by day, week by week. Every time the voice says she can't, she responds, "Let's see." And eventually, she runs the full marathon, not just because of her legs or lungs, but because she trained her mind to speak the right words at the right time. That is the power of mastering the inner conversation. It's not flashy. No one sees it from the outside, but inside, it changes everything. It rewires your beliefs. It builds your identity. It becomes your armor when life attacks, and your fuel when you need to rise. A weak inner voice will sabotage even the most talented person. A strong inner voice will carry even the most average person to greatness, because in the end, the battles of life are not won in the arena. They are won in the silence of your own mind, before the first step is taken, before the first word is spoken. You do not need to silence all negative thoughts. That's impossible. You simply need to become the gatekeeper. Let in what serves you, thank and release what doesn't. With time, your inner world becomes a place of strength, clarity, and calm, and your external world begins to reflect that inner state. So begin where you are. Catch one negative thought today and replace it with something powerful. Say, I'm learning. Say, I can handle this. Say, I choose to grow. These are not lies, they are seeds. Plant them again and again. Water them with repetition, and soon they will grow into a mindset that is unshakable. This is the true path to building a positive mental attitude that cannot be broken, not because life is easy, but because your mind has been trained to remain centered even when the world around you is spinning. That is real power, and it begins with mastering the conversation that no one hears but you. To develop an unbreakable positive mental attitude, one of the most essential yet often misunderstood principles is this. Accept. Do not resist. At first glance, these words may sound passive, perhaps even weak, but in reality, this is one of the highest forms of strength. Acceptance is not surrender, it is not giving up. It is the conscious choice to meet reality exactly as it is, without denial, without complaint, and without unnecessary inner conflict. Resistance is what causes suffering. When something painful or unexpected happens in life, an injury, a loss, a mistake, or even a simple inconvenience, our instinct is often to resist. We say, this shouldn't be happening. We replay it in our minds, wishing it had gone differently. We get caught in anger, frustration, and fear, but notice something important. The pain of the event itself is one thing. The suffering that follows comes from our resistance to that pain. The story we tell ourselves this is unfair this ruins everything I can't take this adds layers of mental and emotional weight on top of the original situation. To accept is to drop that weight. It's to say, this is what is happening, I may not like it, but I will not fight reality. This attitude is not resignation, it is readiness. It means you stop wasting energy resisting what already is and instead begin to focus on how you can respond with clarity, calm, and wisdom. Acceptance gives you your power back. When you resist, your energy is tied up in fighting what cannot be changed. But when you accept, you free that energy. You create space between the event and your reaction. In that space, new possibilities emerge. You begin to respond from presence, not panic, from understanding, not impulse. For example, imagine a man who is driving to an important interview. Halfway there, his car suddenly breaks down on the highway. The engine stalls. He pulls over, furious. He slams the steering wheel, yells at the sky, and curses his luck. The thoughts rush in. Why today? Why now? This ruins everything. He's flooded with stress. His body tightens, his breathing becomes shallow, and in this state, he struggles to think clearly or come up with a solution. Now, imagine that same man, but this time, instead of resisting, he accepts. He pulls over, takes a deep breath, feels the heat rising inside him, but does not feed it. He simply says to himself, this is what has happened. I didn't plan for it, but I will deal with it. From this place of acceptance, his mind remains calm. He calls the company to inform them. He arranges a tow. Maybe he even uses the delay to reflect, prepare mentally, or find another opportunity later. His external situation has not changed, but his internal state has. And that makes all the difference. This example shows that acceptance does not mean you approve of what's happening. It means you stop wasting time arguing with it. There's a deep intelligence in this approach. Life by its nature is unpredictable. You cannot control every event, but you can always control how you meet it. When you resist, you close yourself off, you become rigid, but when you accept, you remain open, flexible, and mentally agile, ready to adapt. Even deeper, acceptance teaches you humility. It reminds you that you are not the center of the universe, Things will happen beyond your control, plans will fall apart, people will disappoint you, emotions will rise. Pain will come, and that's okay. Acceptance is not giving life permission to hurt you. It's giving yourself permission to stop hurting yourself with unnecessary struggle. There is also an emotional layer to acceptance. Sometimes we resist not just events, but feelings. We feel sadness or fear, and we try to push them away. We distract ourselves, we deny them, we say, I shouldn't feel this way. But emotions are not problems to be fixed. They are signals to be heard. When you allow them to be felt without resistance, they pass through you. When you resist them, they get stuck. They linger, grow stronger, and eventually show up in destructive ways: outbursts, anxiety, fatigue. Acceptance in this emotional sense means creating space for all your inner experiences, even the uncomfortable ones. You feel fear, let it be there, observe it without judgment. You feel anger, notice it. Breathe with it, let it teach you. This approach turns every emotion into a teacher rather than a threat. There's a beautiful paradox here. What you accept transforms, what you resist persists. By allowing things to be as they are, you loosen their grip on you. Your mind becomes clearer, your heart becomes lighter, you become more grounded, more resilient, and more capable of taking wise action. Of course, acceptance is not always easy. It takes practice, it takes awareness. When something unwanted happens, your instinct will still be to resist. But with practice, you'll catch yourself. You'll notice the tension in your body, the spiral of thoughts, and in that moment, you can pause. You can breathe. You can say to yourself, this is how it is. I will meet it with strength. In time, this becomes a habit, a way of living. You stop clinging to how things should be, and start living fully in how things are. And in that space, real transformation begins. You can start to make peace with your past. You can start to befriend your present. You can start to shape your future, not out of desperation, but out of presence. Acceptance also gives you clarity about what can be changed. It does not mean passive inaction. On the contrary, once you accept something as it is, you are in a much better position to decide what action is needed. But now your action comes from a clear mind, not from panic, fear, or rage. This shift in mindset has profound effects. Relationships improve because you're no longer trying to control others. Your health improves because you're no longer fighting against your own emotions. Your goals become more attainable because you're not wasting energy on what you can't control. You begin to flow with life rather than fight against it. And that is how a positive mental attitude becomes truly unbreakable. Not because life stops challenging you, but because you no longer break under the weight of resistance. So remember, when pain arises, when plans fall through, when people disappoint you, take a breath and say, this is what is. Let it be, feel it fully, then move forward with clarity and calm. That is the path of true mental strength. That is how you build peace, not just in moments of silence, but in the heart of chaos itself. Discipline your body, and you discipline your mind. This is not just a motivational phrase. It is a principle rooted in timeless wisdom and lived experience. The connection between the physical and the mental is more direct and powerful than most people realize. Your body is not separate from your mind. They are two expressions of the same system. What you do with your body, the way you move it, treat it, feed it, rest it, deeply influences the state of your mind. If your body is chaotic, your mind will reflect that chaos. But if your body is ordered, steady, and controlled, your mind begins to mirror that stability. Discipline is not about restriction or punishment. It is about creating structure, intention, and alignment in your life. A disciplined body means showing up for your physical needs even when you don't feel like it. It means doing the hard things consistently because you understand they shape not just your body, but your character. And when you train your body to follow through on difficult tasks, your mind develops the same strength. There is a truth you learn very quickly in disciplines like martial arts, athletics, or even daily exercise. The body wants comfort. It craves the path of least resistance. But every time you say, I will push through this pain, you are not just strengthening your muscles, you are sharpening your will. You are proving to yourself that your decisions matter more than your feelings. You are teaching your mind to endure discomfort with clarity and focus. This is how resilience is built. Consider this: how you wake up in the morning affects the rest of your day. If you snooze your alarm repeatedly, roll out of bed without purpose, skip your routine, and rush into the day in a reactive state, your mind remains foggy and unfocused. But if you rise with intention, make your bed, stretch or train your body, eat something nourishing, and set the tone for the day, you start from a place of control. Your external world reflects your inner world, and your inner world is shaped by how you command your body. This discipline becomes especially vital when motivation fades. Everyone feels inspired in the beginning, but discipline carries you when your mood disappears. Your body becomes a tool, not just for movement, but for mastering the mind. A disciplined body gets up on the cold mornings. It pushes through fatigue. It honors the schedule. It walks when others stop. This physical commitment trains your mind to act not from impulse, but from intention. Key reason this matters so much is because your body is the most immediate and tangible arena where you can practice mastery. Life may throw things at you that are beyond your control, but your body is always with you. Every push-up, every controlled breath, every healthy meal, every cold shower, every deliberate step, you are practicing the art of doing what must be done, regardless of how you feel, and over time, this reshapes your mental state. You start to trust yourself more. You develop inner confidence, not because you tell yourself you're strong, but because you've proven it through action. Let's consider an example. Imagine a young man who lacks confidence, discipline, and mental clarity. He spends hours scrolling on his phone, eats poorly, sleeps late, and avoids anything physically demanding. His mind is restless. He feels anxious and scattered. He wants to change, but every time he tries to think positively, it doesn't last. Why? Because there is no physical foundation. His body is not aligned with the kind of mind he wants to have. Now imagine that same young man decides to commit to a simple routine. Wake up at 6 a.m., make his bed, run for 20 minutes, take a cold shower, and eat a clean breakfast. At first it's difficult, his body resists, but he does it anyway. Day by day his body adapts. His mind begins to feel more alert. He becomes more focused at work. He begins to speak with more confidence. Not because he read a motivational quote, but because his physical actions have taught his mind new habits of thought. This transformation is not magic. It is process. It is repetition. It is discipline. The outer structure becomes the inner strength. There's another layer to this idea. When you discipline your body, you begin to experience stillness, not just physical stillness, but mental calm. For example, through practices like martial arts, yoga, or focus training, your breath slows down. Your movements become intentional. You enter a state of presence. In that state, the noise of the mind begins to quiet. You feel connected, not scattered. This physical discipline becomes a door to mindfulness. You begin to experience the mind not as a chaos to be controlled, but as a space that can be cleared through the training of the body. Furthermore, a disciplined body builds emotional resilience. Think of what happens during a difficult workout. Your muscles burn, your lungs strain, you want to stop, but if you push through, you don't just get stronger physically, you also train your nervous system to stay calm under pressure. This becomes crucial in life's emotional storms. When you face stress, loss, or challenge, your body remembers how to stay grounded. It doesn't panic, it breathes, it holds its posture, and because your body doesn't spiral, your mind doesn't either. Another reason discipline of the body strengthens the mind is because it builds trust with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, I will stretch today. I will walk 10 0 steps. I will avoid sugar. You deepen the relationship you have with your inner self. You begin to believe your own word. You stop relying on external praise or motivation. You become self-generating, and that ultimately is what makes your mental attitude unbreakable. Not that you never struggle, but that you have built a foundation strong enough to hold you through the storm. This approach also simplifies decision making. When you train your body daily, your mind becomes less cluttered. You no longer waste energy on indecision. You become a person who simply does what must be done. That clarity, that decisiveness, is rare in a world filled with distraction. It becomes a superpower. So discipline your body, not to look a certain way, not to impress anyone, not to chase an external result, but to train your mind in focus, strength, presence, and perseverance. Let your body be the dojo where your mind is forged. Every time you choose discomfort over ease, every time you choose practice over procrastination, every time you choose discipline over delay, you are not just shaping your body, you are creating the mind of a warrior. And once your mind becomes disciplined, everything else becomes easier. You become less reactive, more thoughtful, more capable of long-term vision. You stop being a slave to impulses. You start leading your own life. This is not theory, it is truth. You can test it for yourself. The body is the gateway. Train it, respect it, align it, and watch how your mind transforms. Strong, calm, and unbreakable.